Hello, and welcome to Smart Mortgage Insights. I'm Mandy LaRose, and I'm here to give you your October recap. Last month, you might remember in September 18th, as a matter of fact, the Fed met, lowered the Fed fund rate by 0.5%, which was fantastic news. And we thought from there, rates will continue to go down, but they have not. So here we now sit today. So we're going to talk about what exactly is going on. Well, I'm going to talk about exactly what's going on in the market today. So again, welcome to Smart Mortgage Insights. I'm Mandy LaRose. And since the Fed has lowered the rate, again, or just a reminder, the Fed funds rate is short-term rate. So like credit cards, car loans, bank loans, things like that. It is not directly tied to the 30-year mortgage rate. The 30-year mortgage rate is more tied to the economy, what employment rates are doing, unemployment, inflation rates, things like that. So since the Fed has lowered the rate, the economy has actually been doing well. Employment numbers have been well. The inflation numbers have continued to improve. And so therefore, our rates have not been improving as much as we had hoped or as expected. Unfortunately, in the mortgage world, bad news is good for rates and good news is not so good for rates. And that's kind of where we're sitting right now. In the last month or so, depending on when you last priced a mortgage, you might be seeing a difference in interest rate of 0.5% or maybe even more. Do keep in mind that if you're looking to do like a cash out refinance, a non-owner occupied mortgage, an investment loan, more than one unit type of property, you might even pay higher on interest rates for that as well. So do keep that in mind. So the Fed is going to meet again in November. And of course, right now, let's face it, we just live in a world of volatility, no matter what segment we're talking about, because we have an election right around the corner. Hopefully, when this election takes place, regardless of who wins, we will start to see some kind of stability. I think right now the market is just hinging on what the polls are doing. And of course, we all know what polls are. We just don't know what's going to happen. So that is causing a lot of volatility. So hopefully once the election is done, we have some stability and therefore we can have rates hanging out in some kind of positive form. So as far as what the housing market is doing right now, we have actually seen an uptick in inventory. So the inventory has been improving nationwide. And so that is helping for those home buyers that are out there trying to shop and looking at properties. So maybe you're not as competing with as many buyers at this point because there are more properties out on the market. But I will say that we're also seeing some price reductions that we hadn't been seeing in the past. But we do still have those one-offs, those unicorns out there. Me personally had a client dealing with property just the other day that had multiple offers on it. So that does still exist depending on the property out there. But do know that we are getting a little bit more out there for property wise. So that is definitely helping with the market as well. So hopefully after the Fed does meet on the 7th, there is a lot of talk, actually more than likely when the Fed does meet on the 7th, that they will drop the rate again by 0.25%. And usually when they're talking about that is going to be helping our interest rates. But at this point, again, back to what I was saying before, the volatility going on, that we have not been seeing that happen at this point. So right now, it's just kind of a sit and wait. I think once this election is done, we will have a little more of a window into what's going to happen in the future. But again, no one can predict rates. No one knows what's going to happen. Interest rates really are based on what the economy is doing. So it's just more of a wait and see type of situation. As always, if you have any questions or any comments or anything that you would need to speak with us, feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you so much for listening, and we appreciate you paying attention to our podcast.
This podcast is sponsored by Residential Mortgage, LLC, NMLS numbers 167729, 196, 576, and 1820404. Equal housing lender.